Hey, and we're back from a long break. That was a long break, right? We're still in Darkening of Mirkwood, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Brian, you, wrong script. Flip it.
Oh, next. Oh, I've missed a lot.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Oh dear.
Don't mind the picture I drew there. That I didn't think you'd be looking at that part. I thought you would just skip over that. Sorry. Yeah.
Dick butt. Really? All right.
Hey, don't forget the figure 8 I drew in there with dots in the middle. Come on now. I have some artist repertoire.
The inspiration for the stick was in there somewhere.
Yeah. Had to come from somewhere, folks. What? You think we just come up with this shit off top of our heads? No.
In that particular situation, yes.
Shut up. It was supposed to be sarcasm. It's exactly what happened. I don't even remember how the fuck it happened.
Oh, that's subscribed. Yay!
Yay. If anyone's joined us for the first times in this absolute clusterfuck of an opening, we're AdventureCheck, and we are here to do D&D, or in this particular case, Adventures in Middle-earth 5e. We wrapped up Campaign 1 a few weeks ago. Darkening of Mirkwood is over and done with. That story has been concluded. All the threads may not have been neatly tied off, and there's plenty of room for you to insert your weird-ass fan fiction and come up with whatever the fuck you want.
That's when you know you make it, when there's fan fiction about you.
Yeah, there's weird fan fiction in the very dark recesses of the internet. But tonight...
What is it, like Roll20 or something like that? Anyway.
I'll show you
Roll20 is where we do tabletop virtually. Rule 34? I think it's 34.
Something like some weird number.
Yeah. We're already close enough to getting monetized with your Kevin's Crates. Come on.
Oh, all right.
Okay, Mom.
I mean, should we introduce... I feel like there's a couple of different faces here, and by a couple different, there's at least one different and one missing face. And should we address that, or are we just gonna?
Yes.
Can we do it like the Zelda theme?
What? I am a big supporter of people coming up with their own theories of what is currently going on here, but I'll shed some light on it if we must. You'll notice that we have a sad goblin in the place of Lindsay tonight, for many reasons. One, we're sad she's not here. All of our goblins wish she was here. She's currently out tonight. She is sick, so she is missing session 1. So you can all feel free to shame her in chat. Don't.
Yes, don't.
Fucking do it. Fucking do it. We don't shame people here, all right? It's a joke. Looking at you.
I like how your lighting auto changed and it darkened your face because your camera was your finger.
Don't shame people here, my ass.
We're something special tonight. However, we do have a new individual joining us for our games. You may have heard him in our Curse of Strahd podcast that is terribly behind in content, but that's neither here nor there. DapvhirGaming Nick is here to be part of this campaign too.
Boo! I mean, yay!
Boo! Wait.
And yes, I'll be referring to it as Campaign 2 because I don't have a title to it. Titling is hard. So,
I have faith in you. We'll give you 3 more weeks before we start to judge you.
I will be doing my best. I will be doing my best to title each episode. So those of you watching probably see it already. It isn't terribly spoilery for players. I think they know where we're going tonight for the most part.
Wait, we're in Gondor? Fuck!
Where was Gondor when the Westfold fell? Alright.
Probably in Gondolin.
But like I said, campaign 1 is over and done with. So we are moving on to a fresh new campaign set in Middle-earth. And I'm assuming every single one of you out there watched my overview video, or our overview video. I voiced it, it's not mine, I don't know.
You tied me to a fucking chair and made me watch it.
Oh, I said please.
You did.
But in the event that you haven't, we are going to shed a little bit of light on tonight's campaign and the story overall of our setting. So, who's ready to begin?
Let's
Let's go.
Very excited players here tonight. Awesome.
Pumped! I'm looking at. I went like this. I was the first one to give reaction. Fuck you.
All right.
Sorry, I'm thirsty.
So, we begin in a very familiar scene to us. Is the hustle and bustle of merchants, travelers that are moving in and out between the market square, and there's cacophony of people speaking, and you hear carts and horses moving about. And as we look around, we feel ourselves in a very familiar place for those of us that have played through Campaign 1 and have even watched it. We find ourselves in the city of Dale. And sort of taking place, you see a congregation beginning to form around a bit of the center of the main square of Dale, as individuals, both young and old, elven, dwarven, human, are all seemingly gathering around someone who is standing atop a crate of sorts above the crowd. And they are dressed in very colorful clothing of deep navy and gold trim, and medium-length blonde hair pulled back, and very shiny jewelry adorn their wrists and fingers and even their neck. And as everyone sort of gathers around, a little bit of silence begins to take place as the individual hushes them with his hands. And in that silence, you begin to see as he outstretches his arms and takes a deep breath. Gather round, wayward travelers, vagabonds, drifters, and aimless bounders. Stay a spell and listen to a bit of history of Middle-earth, a tale unheard of, buried deep in the sands of time and near forgotten to the wise. A story of unlikely heroes and strife that ensnared their efforts. Listen close as I bend your ear and regale you of a time long before any of you. Before there was a fellowship that destroyed a ring in Mordor, and the scene begins to transition slowly as it melds and morphs into something else, and we find ourselves, as he weaves this story to the crowd, we find ourselves above the clouds, with peaks of mountaintops poking through every now and again as we are slowly ushered along. We eventually move downward through the clouds beneath the white and into a very long mountain range, and several glimpses in the distance of farmland, cities along a river, and even a very lush and large forest. Welcome to the South Kingdom of Gondor, the now last kingdom of the Dunedain. In recent years, the sister kingdom, Arnor, crumbled and fell beneath the vicious might of the Witch King, and its people were scattered to the winds of Middle-earth. Even more recently, the Witch King was defeated by apparently a machine gun in my left ear. Nick. The Witch King was defeated, and they fled back south toward Mordor. The Gondorian city of Minas Ithil endured a long siege, and eventually fell. That city has been under the banner of the Nazgul for several years now, and such influence has begun to spill over into the once quiet forest of Ithilien. To the west of Ithilien, nestled on the river Anduin, between Minas Ithil and Minas Anor, or Minas Morgul and Minas Tirith, as most have begun to call them, lies the capital city of Gondor, Osgiliath. At least it used to be the capital. The white vibrant stone that used to build that was used to build the city bears deep wounds and cracks. Osgiliath was sacked several centuries ago during a civil war known as Kin Strife. Shortly after the Civil War, the Great Plague struck the region, forcing many to abandon the city and find refuge elsewhere. The majority fled for Minas Ithil, with the rest scurrying to the many fiefdoms of Gondor. Today, Osgiliath's population continues to dwindle, though many still call it home. The king's house now resides in Minas Ithil. A small garrison remains in Osgiliath, along with several thousand civilians. After all, the walled city secures the River Anduin, a valuable asset to the kingdom. Within the city walls, many people attempt to lead out a normal life. Some too poor to leave the city, others too stubborn, and even still a handful arrive here by choice. People trade, work, and live despite the kingdom's lack of effort to repair and rebuild. It would seem the looming threat of the Witch King residing in Minas Morgul takes most of King Erenil II's concern and attention these days. It is here, amongst the ruins, the memories, and now the squalor of Osgiliath, where our story begins. Welcome to Campaign 2.
Let's go.
So, as we hone in on Osgiliath, a city divided into two sections, a west and an east, that are naturally divided by the River Anduin. We see, from a bird's eye view, several ruined and rubbled sections, several scars across the city, and still several areas that seem fairly well intact. The city of Osgiliath is a patchwork city in this current era of the Third Age. However, it is not fully abandoned, as some of us may know it later on. Many years from now. People live here, people work here. We try to make the best of it. In one of the more preserved sections in the east of the city lies the Houses of Healing. What few master healers reside in the city work out of this district. Several people walk the streets going about their business. As we move through the streets, we note one tall individual who seems slightly out of place. Is it his equipment? A bow and quiver slung across his back. A blade at his hip and leather pouches at his belt. Perhaps it's the fact his skin seems to glow ever so slightly. Not a speck of dirt across his brow or hands. All valid observations, as they gingerly slip into the crowd and move without impediment. Perhaps what stands out the most of them, the lack of noise they make. Nick, would you like to introduce your character?
Good evening. My name is Locke. I am. That's all most of you are going to know for the time being.
Where do you hail?
I hail from Rivendell, the House of Lord Elrond.
High Elf of Rivendell, all the way from Rivendell.
It's quite a far way away there, buddy.
Cut.
The city of Rivendell in the state of Rivendell.
It's a city-state. It's its own. It's a city, but it's its own thing, really. But
it's a city, state, county, street. You know, a little bit of everything.
I'm from Rivendell Street in Rivendell.
No, you're thinking of the corner of Rivendell and Del Riven.
I will help you all out here. Here is a portrait of Locke.
Ooh.
Nice.
Elven friend from Rivendell.
me tell you about my elven friend.
So, Locke, you are currently in Osgiliath. You've been here for some time, and you find yourself performing odd jobs, odd tasks over the past few years while living here to make ends meet. Something brought you here a while ago. We'll get into that later, but something on your own accord is what kept you here, whether it's a desire to make your own name, or fortune, or fame, perhaps. Nevertheless, you remained amongst the Southern Kingdom, like amongst its people, and away from your own. Though birds of a feather tend to flock together. You have made a few friends here, and one in particular is who you're going to see now, as you're heading for the Houses of Healing, as you have a contact there who on occasion has odd tasks for you, and either pays you handsomely for it, or does her best to help you along in the city as a stranger from distant land. You make your way through the crowd and down one of the main streets in the east. And surely the Houses of Healing here are one of the more well-preserved sections of Osgiliath. The white stone, while not clean, it is still very dirtied over time. It still has a hint of glimmer to it as the sun pokes through the clouds and reflects back. Some of the end caps of the towers and even a few windows still shimmer with gold or bronze. As you get ever so closer to it, you are overwhelmed with the scent of burning herbs and the mixtures of various concoctions that you're familiar with just by being here, as certain brews are being made for patients inside or as an inventory. You make your way inside. You are able to drown out the bit of the noise coming from the city outside. You see sort of various hanging pottery scattered ever so often as they are growing their own herbs within to try and keep up their own supply from what they can. You see several individuals pace back and forth as they can move from one hallway to the other, either carrying mortar and pestles or parchment, or even just a handful of herbs, as they all seemingly have tasks to do. And there is just a slight echo every so often of footsteps and talking, but for the most part, it is fairly tame in here. Go deeper within, and you hang a right down one of the main hallways that ventures off of the foyer, and you come to an area on your left that sort of opens up into a bit of an outdoor botanical garden of sorts. There's no roof covering it. You can see straight out into the sky, and the sun is poking in, and you hear the trickling of water. And over in one corner near that water, sitting down on a bench, jotting down in a journal, you see your contact, your friend, if I would be so bold to call them that. Not quite akin in terms of an elf of Rivendell, but an elf of Lorien. Manawame.
How do you actually pronounce the name?
I'm going to change it many times because I keep forgetting it. Manawame.
Manawanami?
Yeah.
Oh, Mana Wame.
Yes.
Okay.
Friendly elf from another self.
She looks up from her parchment as you walk in. And she gestures you forward. Locke, it's good to see you. Please come.
The pleasure is mine. What are you writing today?
Oh, another concoction of herbs and brews, and hopefully to cure various poisons out in the world. That is one of the primary things I'm working on today, and it seems I'm a little off in my formula.
Oh. What leads you to believe this?
Well, our garden is a little short for once on the herbs I'm requiring, and I believe I'm a little short as she places the quill to her mouth as she thinks. I think what it is missing, based on what we've experimented with, is a bit more touch of king's foil. And our supply has been running a little short as of lately.
Just kind of remember the various things that I've walked past on the way in here. Couldn't for the life of me imagine why.
We've had to use a lot of our own supply ever since Minas Ithil fell. The forests have grown a little bit more dangerous than they have in the past. Not quite safe to travel at all hours of the day as they used to be.
I figured as much when you called for me.
Of course. If you are daring enough to go out into Ithilien and retrieve several bushels of king's foil, then I might be able to turn this into something that you might be able to use in the future. And she gestures off into one side, seemingly the patient ward.
Hydrate.
Hydrate or dehydrate, Kevin.
I'm on it, brother.
That's so large.
Finish it. Yeah, buddy.
I'm sorry.
If we were to have a few more bushels of king's foil, we'd be able to turn this into hopefully a working brew. Something that might be on par with what you would find in Rivendell. Be able to help those that are here, and in return, I would surely give you one of the valves of such. And of course, if there is something else you're looking for in return.
Why you gotta say it like that? Anyways,
No, not what I meant, Locke.
Your phrasing, not mine. Well,
I
absolutely,
really
it is-
do hope that this is your own influence, Locke, and not of Elrond's, because if it is of Elrond's, then I am concerned for the upbringing of his two boys.
Well, we both know you should be concerned for that anyways. But yes, as always, I'm more than willing to go out and venture, get what you need, as long as my going rate remains.
Certainly. I can offer you a few copper for this, and potentially a silver if you come back with enough. And of course, the first working salve of this king's foil.
Well, if you're willing to make the claim that it may rival that of Rivendell, I've really no choice but to help.
I thought as much. I don't know the last time you ventured out into Ithilien, but it's a bit darker out there recently. Metaphorically speaking, of course. The Witch King seems to be getting a bit bolder and letting his orcs run rampant in the forests. I haven't seen much of the garrison here do much about it. Just a forewarning.
Hand just rests on the gem at the end of the broadsword. It won't be the first, it won't be the last of this life.
We have seen much more than we wish to in many lifetimes. Some of us have even stretched over many ages. But I digress, Locke. If there's anything you've need of me...
Have you any thought of where, specifically in the forest, it might be overgrowing if some luck at this point?
It's a fairly abundant weed. Though the amount of cultivation and infrastructure that Osgiliath has done beyond the walls, you may have to venture an hour or two outside the city into the forest.
Understood.
Need anything, I suggest heading up the market beforehand. Or, you can head out right now. Pretty early in the day. It's about midday right now. Yeah.
Seems as though I have plenty of time to get back before the sun sets.
Let us hope. And of course, if you find anything else of value that you normally do, you're entitled to it. Unless you feel good cause to bring it to the garrison here or the king over in Minas Ithil.
As always, we shall see. To those it may benefit most, and honestly, sometimes it is myself, but I shall let you know either way.
Very good. I'll be here upon your return.
Bow, turn, and start heading out.
She returns the bow. Make your way out of the houses of healing. You're currently on the eastern side of Osgiliath. The eastern gate leads to Ithilien, western leads to Pelennor. While you're still in the city, is there anything you wish to do?
I think for an initial trip, I'm pretty well geared out for what I would need to do, what I need to have. Traveling's obviously been coming and going a lot in general.
Okay.
So I always try to keep a readied pack just for that.
So you make your way towards the eastern gate of Osgiliath. And at this time of day, the gate is sort of wide open. There are a few guards posted there in their plate armor and sort of tower shields and spears in hand. They acknowledge you're coming and going. There's a few others leaving and arriving at the same time. Not a whole lot. They just sort of nod as you leave. You make your way out and follow the path. You can see off in the distance, maybe roughly 3 miles with your sight. The forest in the distance. So as you follow it down, head off towards the forest of Ithilien, our view of Locke remains stagnant as he leaves us and getting further and further away, and we sort of pan up the sky and behind ever so briefly. Come back down, and we find ourselves amidst the forest of Ithilien. Switch up my soundscape for all you lovely people. Battle bards, everybody.
For all your musical needs.
Musical. Da-da-da-da. We pan out of the district and through the streets of Osgiliath. As we do, we see the shadows of the buildings and people shorten as the day carries on. We leave the city behind through the eastern gate and travel several miles out from the city walls. Into the forest of Ithilien we transition, as our senses adjust as the sunlight no longer glares off the white stone, and the noise of people and carts are replaced by the trickling of streams and the chirping of birds. The sun peeks through gaps in the forest canopy, but the tall trees of the forest cast cooling shadows from its heat. We follow a winding dirt path through the forest. Worn and beaten down, it is a well-traveled route. Eventually, we round the bend. We see two individuals, seemingly armed. One appears much older than the other. The younger one has a face that says he has seen much in his time. Kevin, would you like to introduce your character?
I would. So, welcoming into this battlefield is Syrian, also known as a nickname that he doesn't like to go by, but he's known for is Syrian of the Citadel, a former soldier, now mercenary of the Gondor Guard, was formerly in charge of guarding the Citadel, which fell under his command, but he was known to put up a brave fight. All the soldiers and everyone respects him, but the nickname he received from it, he's not a big fan of. So, right now he is on a journey or doing jobs in searching of redemption.
Alongside Syrian is an older individual who is maybe not as armored, but certainly appears a bit more advanced in years. Matt, would you like to introduce your character?
Yes, you see, like you said, an older man. His hair is already turned gray, and he wears many travels upon his face. He is armed with a sword and shield as well as a bow. He also has a peculiar pack he carries with him. And he seems to be just humming to himself for the moment, and this is Malvor. And he just turns and looks at Sirion, and he says, "Did I tell you about the dream I had last night, kid?"
It eludes me.
It was just strange, right? Found myself in a desert with an unbearable heat. There was no escape from it. Makes
Well,
you
speaking
wonder.
of dry, Malvor, when's the last time you visited the ladies back in Gondor?
I don't visit many ladies nowadays anymore. There's only one lady for me, and she's far away from here.
Justice.
Well, you'll have to introduce us sometime.
If we're ever in the neighborhood, perhaps, but...
Well, hopefully it's a glorious day in said neighborhood.
When you're around, there's always excitement to be had, Sirion.
Oh, stop it, you. You know how to sweet talk.
Don't walk so fast. I'm getting slower in my old age, kid.
Sorry, long legs.
Pretty quiet patrol today. It's good, though.
Surprising, given the noise we've been hearing the past couple weeks.
So the two of you have picked up a request, for the most part, from the local garrison of Osgiliath. Though not part of the army proper, at least anymore, two of you still on occasion pick up tasks and bounties or odd jobs that the crown needs. As such, that is where you find yourselves today. As the roads coming and going from Osgiliath, especially through Ithilien, do need the occasional patrol. And there are many roads that sort of split off, so you do find yourselves in one of them going through sort of the heart of Ithilien right now. Your route brings you from the eastern gate of Osgiliath to several miles into Ithilien, seemingly trying to maintain Gondor's sphere of influence, especially with Minas Morgul now combating against it. You've been out here for several hours. It's probably since dawn, actually. You've made your way towards the first end of your patrol, and you've turned and you've begun heading back. It'll be a few more hours until you do arrive, though, however. Both of you go ahead and give me perception checks. First rolls of the campaign.
First rolls of the campaign. Sorry, I just have to laugh because I just said in chat, he's wise, not magical, but he's not wise. He's not wise.
There are many kinds of wisdom, friend. Being the founder of Gondoria is not among them.
Gondoria. Oh, that sounds horrible. Man, were you in Gondor this past weekend? Yeah, why? You got Gondoria bad.
Oh no. That's an 8.
22 from Syrian and 8 from Malvor. Malvor, it's not even so much like...
That cloud looks funny.
It's a long day, and it's been quiet today. So even with the return part of your journey, it's fairly calm. Not a whole lot bearing necessity for attention. So you're just kind of trailing off in your thoughts. Syrian, you're a little bit more attentive in the current situation. Your eyes out, a bit younger, maybe a bit more to prove in your position. But as you guys make your way through the forest, heading back west, and you see the sun and the shadows beginning to move as it trails on to later in the day. You hear mostly wildlife, which to you is a good sign. Typically, if there's orcs or goblins or even wolves or other wildlife about, some of the more tamer wildlife will begin to quiet down. But you hear birds, you hear various other creatures about, call of a deer every now and again that I will not replicate this time. I've replicated one deer call in this stream. I will not do it again.
That's why I'm here, for the animal calls.
And the ever constant trickle of water in the distance. The forest seems fairly tame for now.
Well, everything seems and sounds quiet.
Yeah, when was the last time you ran into trouble in this neck of the woods?
Hard to recall, it all just blends together at some point.
It really does, especially when you've been around as long as I have. Traveled as much as I have.
You should write a book on all your travels.
I'm not much for writing. I appreciate.
Come on.
There's an art in the telling of a story. In the inflection and the details you choose. And that art can be lost in writing.
The next coin we get, you need to sit down with a scribe and just tell your stories.
I don't know if I have enough years left to cover all the things I've seen. To be fair, most of it not very exciting, but there's a lot of it.
Cover the exciting parts then.
Some of those are quite private indeed, but I'm sure I got a few stories of mine. I've also know quite a few stories of others, and they don't always have to be truthful. It's
That's what makes for a great tale.
Exactly. You must embellish it. Reality can sometimes be dreadfully boring.
Now say it like it is, Malvor. Reality's a motherfucker.
That's... It can be sometimes. It really can be.
Yeah, but ale helps.
But you get through it. One day at a time. One foot in front of the other. You think about what awaits you at home or in another town, perhaps. Maybe for you it's a mug of ale or a friendly face. There's always something to look forward to.
Maybe a friendly face giving me a mug of ale. You never know.
Hey, I won't turn down a 2-for-1 deal.
I'll drink to that.
You don't have any on you, do you?
Oh, Captain got pissed last time I tried that.
Sounds like the captain. Oh, I know why the alerts are so loud. Let me turn them down. I actually cannot hear them on my headset.
Sorry, not sorry.
I've turned them down a bit. That should be better for you, chat. I don't know who I'm talking to, Syrian.
Syrian's just gonna kind of like... She's just gonna look at him and then look away and go...
Now,
You
Syrian...
guys continue your conversation. Of course, of maybe another hour or so. Getting ever closer back to Osgiliath. And you get even closer, as you can see through the trees. It is a little... It's a slightly dense forest as you get closer, though. It sort of eases up as there's a bit more space between trees. And you can see several other paths coming from the north and northeast and even the south that seem to begin to feed in the distance all into one road point, one focal point, and back into the city. Still a ways from where all that crossroads. But you see, sort of into the north, a little bit ways off, maybe about 120 feet or so, two wagons and a couple of what appear to be soldiers from your perspective, just sort of slowly moving with it as a bit of a guard of sorts.
Can we tell from this distance, like, who the soldiers are with?
Go ahead and give me a perception check at this distance.
11.
11. It's a little hard from this distance. You can clearly identify the soldiers are Gondorian. They are human. There's nothing immediately alarming about it. There's two wagons, each drawn by one horse. And it appears from here that they just seem to be civilians of sort. But you do hear, as you're looking off in that direction, a twig snap in the middle of the forest between you and them.
Can I look to identify what broke it?
You look in the direction of the sound, and you don't actually see anything. Not with an 11.
So I'm just gonna kind of like hit Malvor in the chest, kind of like a stop motion, and I'm gonna just look at him and point up into the trees, or point like up and around.
Oh, you see an animal up there?
No, I hear something. It's not them over there.
I mean, it could be an animal. Could be a little squirrel running about. But we are on patrol. Probably best not to be too careful.
I doubt we're gonna make some woodland friends here. Keep your eyes open.
Um,
I'm gonna keep my hand on. I'm gonna keep my hand on my long sword and just wait for if a hostile makes an attack on me, I'll make a counterattack at it.
Malvol sees Syrian like ready this and like get tense and is just like, "Oh, Syrian, you're always expecting a fight or trouble to break out."
How the hell did you make it to this old age without that kind of mindset?
You just gotta be able to read the situation, I guess. Go with the flow. Don't be too quick to start a fight.
I'm not looking to start one, I'm looking to end one.
One hasn't even found us yet.
And let's keep it that way.
As the two of you are talking back and forth and pulling attention back, pulling attention and coming back, at one of those moments, Syrian, you look back and you hear, as you're sort of transitioning to looking around in the direction of that caravan, a gasp and a scream. Ah! As you see a figure come down from a tree and land on top of one of the soldiers and pins them to the ground. You see a dagger come up and plunge right into the sternum and bring back up, and they stand at their full height, which is a little short in raggedy clothes. But they have a dagger held above their head. What do you guys do?
I'm gonna rush in and attack it.
Rush in.
All right, so as the two of you bear down in an instant and begin to run the 120 feet distance between you and that path, we're going to pan back away. And we're going to come back over to Locke, as it's been a few hours. You've made it out into Ithilien. And you are off the beaten path, quite literally. You are a little bit more confident in the area and what you are searching for, so you follow the path from Osgiliath a ways and then sort of venture off, knowing full well that if you're looking for herbs and weeds, probably not going to be on a well-traveled path. They're going to be out in the woods themselves. Go ahead and give me a survival check.
Hydrate.
At this point, I'm just gonna shotgun this fucking thing.
Chug.
Digital dice liked me?
19 on something I'm pretty sure you're not even proficient in.
No.
I found it weird when I found it funny when I gave you a connection with the healer in town, who is usually going to be asking for like herbs and stuff. I'm like, he's not good at this, but you know, well, let's see what happens. 19.
Apparently, this is the regular happening. I just get dumb luck a lot.
You find an abundance of king's foil, or athelis, for those keeping score at home. We threw athelis around in campaign 1. It also has the name of king's foil. After a few hours of being out in the woods and finding bushels around and harvesting what you can, you don't have the proper tools for doing so. You don't have an herbalist kit or anything like that, so you're just sort of going off of like a regular dagger that you have around, trying to harvest what you can. And with a 19, you harvest 4 bushels that are completely intact in an ideal state for usage.
I look forward to the look of surprise.
Yeah, you're quite happy with yourself. Typically, the requests she has are usually looking for odds and ends of like ancient civilizations, or looking for various texts or stuff that might help in healing process, or even developing some of these medicines, or maybe just the instruments themselves, things that may have been lost in the region over the several ages prior to now. Not too often she has you look for actual herbs, but seemingly, when she does, you still come through with shining color. But it's around the time, as you see the sun getting, starting to get lower in the sky now of how long you've been out here searching, and you cut sort of the fourth bushel, wrap it up, and you put it in the pouch. You begin to notice, as your ears perk up, a little bit more noise that isn't necessarily natural to the region. You hear two horses and maybe footfalls sort of off into northeast. Then another thing sort of catches your ear as you hear from this distance maybe muttering. It sounds like two individuals are talking and conversing back and forth to one another. Then you hear a twig snap. Then you also notice at this particular point that nature itself seems to quiet.
With the snap of that twig especially, you're saying?
Yeah. Right as soon as that twig snaps, the birds, squirrels, everything just seems to vanish. Which, for as much in the distance you've traveled just to be here in the years that you've been around, you're pretty well versed in that's not good.
No.
Yeah. Is there anything at this point you'd like to do?
I will start heading in the direction that I heard the individuals talking from, because if I heard mumbling that didn't distress me from hearing it, I'm assuming probably at that point they're not orcs. So
It seemed discernible. Definitely wasn't any black speech or anything like that. Just sort of muttered.
You learn black
You begin to
speech on-
move.
Never mind.
You begin to move through the woods slowly, trying to make sure you don't alert anyone for the most part. And as you get closer, you see coming into view, off and to your left, a caravan of two wagons and a handful of soldiers. And by handful, maybe 3 or 4. And then maybe 120 feet to your right, you see 2 other individuals who don't seem to be in Gondorian armor. They're not militarily dressed or anything like that. They seem almost mercenary-esque. They're wearing armor. They are armored, but they don't bear like the crest of Gondor or anything like that. So you take a moment, you just sort of watch it, just trying to gauge like, okay, what's going on here? What did I hear? And as your attention is pulled to the 2 individuals whose heads then snap back towards the caravan, right as you hear a yelp and a scream and a gasp, as the throat seems to be cut, and a individual stands up, and you see, glancing back, the other 2 begin to rush in their direction. I need initiative.
Oh boy! Oh gosh, the guards are already dead.
Oh no! Where are we?
I assume we're
You're
up
gonna be way
here.
over this direction.
Oh, I thought we were along the road.
Nope, you were on 2 different roads.
Boop.
And then Locke will be
What
coming
you
down
mean,
from the
river?
south.
okay.
2 of you are sort of, or the 3 of you are a little bit
Woo!
off the map still, but
For
One
all
second.
intents and purposes.
yeah.
I got a 6.
Low initiative.
Speak for yourself.
Hey, you've been rolling well tonight.
Don't get used to it. The
Used
minute
to it.
you start relying on me, it'll be all nothing but 1s and 2s. I'm burning this.
Combat.
Okay, level 1 combat.
This is
One
like
of us-
combat at level 1.
One
Nothing
of us
can
could
go wrong.
die. One of us could die. No stretch.
Syrian, go ahead and reroll your initiative.
Ugh.
Paul gave you a reroll.
Oh my man.
Hang on, before you do that,
Oh.
don't. I'm just gonna delete you out so you can just reroll the whole thing. Go for it.
Ooh, you got the same thing.
Sorry, Paul. So
rough.
sorry. So sorry.
That's
roll 20.
Rough.
Sword
Rough,
hero
rough,
shit.
rough.
Ouch.
So sorry.
Alright.
Kevin, you're benched.
It's just the initiative. Calm down.
Alright, everyone on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's kick some ass.
No, not that one. Yeah.
Oh, I like that one.
Alright, top of the round, you're roughly 120 feet away, Locke. You saw a figure come down from the tree and pin one of the soldiers to the ground and bring down a blade and come back up. What are you doing?
So a full-on sprint, how far could I move?
In
4 times or 2 times?
full-on sprint, so using your action to dash, or using...
Using all of my actions to move, possible.
Okay. That'll be 3. You can do
3.
30, 60, 90.
Does he
Okay.
does he have cunning action yet?
No, only level 1.
Oh, okay.
And
Then
it's
just twice.
Yeah.
60.
Okay, well then... Well, you're saying like 120 feet off the map, or...
Yes.
Okay, then yeah. I move my 60
Quite
feet in
easy.
that direction, and I guess that's obviously all I can really do.
Okay. That will bring us to this individual. As you see a large looming figure come out from behind a tree and stop one of the soldiers that was sort of leading the caravan in the path. As he hears the one behind him drop, and before he turns around, the individual brings up a large sword, bashes him with the shield, opening him up, and comes down across the clavicle. As you just see the whole sort of like beige white that Gondor loves to use as their undergarments just gets splattered in a crimson, and he just drops his weapon and grabs up to himself and just falls to the ground. That will end his go. See the one who dropped down and killed one moves up and towards one of the wagons and begins to grab at the person driving it, and you see they bring up their dagger and goes to make an attack. With an 8 will miss as the person sort of like shifts out of the way and the dagger goes into the wood of the wagon, and he pulls it out to get ready for another attack, but that will end his go. Malvor.
So how far off the map am I?
120.
Okay. Let me just check some things.
Tomorrow's 420.
Did I? Okay. So I'm gonna use my movement, which is going to make me 90 feet off the map instead of 120.
Okay.
And I have to. 80, 20. Okay. So my short bow has a range of 8320, so I could attempt an attack, but it would be at disadvantage. I also don't necessarily want to be the first one in the fight. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try and attack the... So I'm 90 off. That's within my max range. It's just gonna be a disadvantage. I guess I'm going to go ahead and try and shoot an arrow at the closest figure I can see.
All right, go ahead and give me an attack at disadvantage.
Even with disadvantage. 10, dang it!
I don't know.
10. You and Syrian break from your path and run out into the forest, and you pull out an arrow and you slowly notch it and try to line up your target, and you note it. In your advanced years, it's a little bit hard to stabilize at this point. And at one moment, you think you have it, and you let the arrow fly. It goes through the air and boom, right into the wagon next to him. Missed.
Yep. I only get one attack, so that's it. I'm just gonna go ahead and mark myself so I know that I'm still 90 feet off the edge of the map.
Syrian.
I'm actually going to use my action to dash and get as close as I can to like 60 feet. Just use my action to dash, going up 60 feet, and this is weird. I'm used to having like 10,000 different things I want to do.
Level 1, you got like 2 things you can do.
Yep. It's been a while.
Yeah, that basically puts you on the map.
Okay, so pretty much like where I am.
It probably puts you technically where Malvor's token is.
Okay, so like, I'll put like him right there. Okay. Yeah, that'll do it for Syrian of the Citadel.
All right, that brings us to this little guy who's gonna dart up out of the forest and actually move right there as he takes out a bow and aims at somebody moving about in the wagon. Lets it fly. With a 22 will hit as you see the arrow sort of go into the side of someone's leg and they go, ah! And they grab onto it. But that will end. Will it though?
I don't like that sound. The less the enemy does, the better.
That will end this turn. Brings us to the top of the round. Locke.
Okay, so where I am at off the map at this point,
You
where...
moved 60 feet last. You're on the map is correct where you are.
Oh, okay, so I would be on the map then?
Yep.
Cool. Well, then... I always forget how to do this. I don't know how to roll 20, guys. How do you do the med thing? I ask this all the time.
While you're dragging your token, right click, it'll drop pins.
Thank you.
Just let me pick up my mini and count the squares. And bloop.
You can also just manually count squares too.
So is this actual on the map? Are these like the tops of trees we're seeing looking down, or is it actual?
Yeah, those are trees, and then cutting through is like a 10-foot wide, not river, but creek almost. So going through it would be rough terrain, or you could jump it.
That's fine.
Splishy splashy, taking a bathy.
I'm gonna go over there, which is the 30-foot movement.
Splish splash, I'm taking a bath.
Okay.
And I'm a ping the goblin in front of me with an arrow.
In the
Sure,
face.
go for it. As you see, he's wielding a shield and a sort of like crooked, broken-looking sword, but the stature of the individual seems more orcish than goblin.
Okay, sorry. I just heard your particular little snarl that always made me think. Exactly.
24 will hit. Go ahead and roll damage.
It's 8.
Sure, he doesn't have anything fun at level 1. Nope.
And no advantage, so no sneak attack, correct?
Yeah, especially since you didn't stealth ahead of time. Yep.
I will learn this to make it work with the system.
You run up and take out your bow and notch an arrow as you're moving, and you come to a sliding stop right at the edge of the creek, and you bring it back and you let the arrow go, and as the orc is sort of laying into this prone soldier and it's just becoming a bloody mess as it's just arcing through the air, the arrow comes through and right into the back right shoulder of him. And he turns and looks at you.
I don't think I can do anything else at this point, so...
Alright.
One attack, one movement. Level 1 at its best.
That will end your turn. That will bring us to the orc soldier, who is going to use his bonus action to use his aggressive ability.
Oh no.
That allows him to move up to his speed towards a hostile creature.
Oh no.
And he's gonna need that to get over the. He's gonna need that to get over the river, basically.
Yeah.
And then he is going to get up in your face, come running up to, and make his attack with his sword.
And he's gonna hit
With a 12.
he's not going to hit. Woo! I just assumed.
As you just sort of sidestep out of it and it hits the ground. That will end his go. Brings us to this one, this Snaga, who's got an updated look since our last campaign.
I like how all the enemies have gotten glow-ups.
It's nice.
Gotta be different. I'm not just gonna recycle everything.
They're all looking fabulous.
Fabulous.
Peachy.
Who's the arrow caught his attention that hit the wagon is going to turn and see Syrian hauling ass towards him and another guy with a bow way out past him.
Just way the fuck back there.
But doesn't have a means to deal with anything at range, so he's going to turn and try and make another attack at the wagon individual. A 10 will hit. These people aren't armored. Civilians. With 4, as you see him scamper up to the side of the wagon and grab onto the person and pull up the blade and just stab into them. And they just grab their side as the blood begins to pool at their abdomen. That will end their go. Malvor.
I'm gonna move 30 feet closer.
All right.
Bringing me to 60 feet off the map. So I'm gonna go ahead and change my token. Actually,
That puts you on the map, doesn't it?
I think he revised how far we were off the map. Because I've effectively moved 60 feet now, and I think when each of you moved 60 feet, you were on the map. But I was 120 feet when I started. And so I've only went 90. I mean, I only went 30 to 90, and another 30 brings me to 60 feet off the map. Unless I'm... I mean, I think I got the gist of it. Right, Brian?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Sure.
So now I'm debating if I should dash just to try and close the gap, because I'm gonna have disadvantage up till 80 feet.
Well, sorry, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Brian. That means he should be in his first range of ranged combat, shouldn't he, after 60? We were 120 from the wagon, not fully off the map, or am I mixing that up?
There's a slight mix-up. The two parties, because triangles, you were kind of closer than they were, Locke. They were 120 from you.
Okay.
Yeah, so Matt's correct in this situation.
Okay.
Apologies. Just making.
You're good.
In that case, what I'm going to do is, before Syrian gets out of range, because I'm betting he's just gonna book it. I'm gonna use my bonus action, and I'm just going to. Syrian's just at the. because I'm 60 feet away from Syrian, I guess. He's just at the range of my gift die right now, and I'm just going to call to Syrian. I'm going to be like the wind. Be like the wind, Syrian. And I'm going to expend my bonus action to give him a gift die, which is a d6 that he can use pretty much on any roll he makes. It lasts for 10 minutes and all that jazz. And then I'm going to use my action. I'm going to just try to take another shot at disadvantage. Just keep the heat on them. 16!
16 will hit. Go ahead and roll damage.
7 piercing.
7 piercing. So as he brings up the knife and jabs it into the person's abdomen, and he brings it back out, and he scampers up a little bit further under the wagon. He comes down on top of him, trying to go down towards the clavicle, and the arrow just falls to the ground.
For skill.
You guys let the old man get the first kill, really?
Not first blood, but first kill. And that's the end of my turn.
All right, Syrian.
If you're talking...
I am talking, goddammit. Stupid. Mute myself so I can let people do things. Alright, so I'm actually gonna move up to use my 30 feet to go here. And I'm pretty sure I'll be at disadvantage, but I'm gonna take a shot at this boy.
You should be good. You're 50 feet
I should
away.
Okay.
50 feet, you're good.
Okay, I'm gonna pull out my short bow
This is a very nice looking map.
And I'm gonna pull my short bow and attack.
Thank you.
And we're gonna go pew.
I mean, you have a gift die. Might make up the difference. It's a d6. It might not.
How long do I have the d6, Matt?
For 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay, yeah, fuck it. I'm just gonna let that arrow fly.
Okay. Just sort of lands short into the ground.
That's all I got.
All right. Brings us to this Snaga. Going to move up along here. And with the bow in his left hand, pull a small dagger out of his right and make an attack at one of the other individuals that are on this. From what you can see from where you are, the first wagon had one person, and the one behind had two in terms of civilians. All of the soldiers from your perspective at this point are either unconscious or dead on the ground. So the goblins and orcs are just making attacks at the civilians at this point. A 22 will hit.
Jesus Christ, dude.
But that will end his turn. Locke.
So at this point, since he's all up in my face, I'm gonna just drop my bow, pull out my broadsword, and does that still work like it does in 5e? Since I'm not as familiar with the system, that doesn't burn.
Yeah, you can
do that if I drop and crawl.
Sorry, you're stowing the bow and taking out the sword?
No, just dropping it.
Oh yeah, you're fine.
Okay, so drop that, pull the broadsword, slash.
Okay.
Slash. Ooh, your rolls have been fire.
18 will hit for another 7 damage.
I am burning the entire campaign in the first
Right
fight,
now.
so we're clear.
Right now.
Right now.
Let's go! Alright, another 7 damage. That's a lot of damage. As you drop the bow and in one motion you bring out the sword, and as you bring out the sword in an arcing motion and actually make your attack as you draw it and cut right past the shield that he's holding, right across the abdomen, and he doubles back and grabs himself, and you see sort of like a blackish blood come from him, and he just sort of looks up with you, snarls a bit. He's still standing.
That's all. I'm gonna keep him occupied.
All right,
Against
that brings
my
us to
better
his turn.
judgment. He's not happy
I've
with
just
turn.
had a premonition.
I'm about to take 10
What is it?
damage. That's my premonition.
Does a 13 hit?
No.
Oh!
Nice.
This orc is fired.
For some reason, I was like,
I am
he's gonna
starting this campaign with main character energy right now.
I'm like, this orc's gonna roll a natural 20.
Yeah, with an arrow still embedded in his back, and now a gut wound across, going horizontal across him. He stammers a bit, and he's seeming to just shake and attacks, and you just sort of parry it off easily. Doesn't even break a sweat. That ends his turn. That Snaga is dead. Malvor.
I'm gonna go ahead, use 30 feet of my movement again. Come just a little bit closer. That puts me 30 feet off the map now. And I'm gonna take another. I'm gonna try and. How hard of a shot would it be to shoot that Snaga? That's behind the wagon.
They have half cover.
Half cover. That's gonna make it harder. The orc that's in front of Locke. Is that an easier shot to make?
That.
Okay.
That's definitely an easier shot.
I'm gonna go ahead and take that because I'm already firing at disadvantage.
Okay.
Bam! 11 misses. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the 11. Let's see. You let the arrow fly and goes through.
No, don't do this to me.
Here's my first bit of damage.
Goes through the woods, and it's flying true for a moment, and then just peters out and hits the ground before it reaches him. Seemingly too far beyond the range of the bow.
And that's the end of my turn.
Syrian.
All right. Make sure I'm not on mute. Okay. So
Checklist.
I'm gonna. Yeah, checklist. Can I cross this? I'm assuming
You
it's rough
certainly
terrain.
can. It's rough terrain, so it'll be double the movement if you want to just sort of cross it. Or, if you want to be that guy, you can take a running start and give me an acrobatics check to jump over it.
Yeah, that's gonna cost me an action, and I want to go pew pew with these fucking goblins. So no, we're just gonna go.
No, you can just try it. It's up to you.
He just wants to see it.
Fuck it. Fuck it. Let's go, brother.
It's not deep. It's not like you guys are gonna drown crossing the river again.
Yeah.
Hothus.
Fuck it. Let's jump over it. Let's get a running start, kids.
All right, go ahead and give me an acrobatics check. 12. It's a 10-foot gap, not even on the point you're trying to jump over it. Easy enough.
Parkour.
You get a running start, and you just leap, do a long jump across, land decently enough. You are on the other side.
Okay, and I'm gonna use the last. So I think that was 15,
Like 15.
20 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll use the other 15 to run here. And
Alright.
I do have a clear shot at this boy? Ish.
Well, he has some cover. He doesn't have half cover, but there's a body in front of him and a bit of the wagon and the horse as well. The horses are not on the map.
Okay. Yeah, we'll try and take a shot at him.
Okay.
Living horses in Brian's
Actually,
campaign?
actually, with the horse, I'll say he has half cover. So if that changes your decision,
Okay. Can I redo the acrobatics and climb a tree? No. Fuck it. We're just gonna take the shot anyway.
okay.
Here we go, boys and girls. We're all inclusive here. And
They
bang.
thems.
Here we go, organisms. 20.
You're not gonna need
That'll
the
hit.
gift die.
Yep, and then
Go
I'm
ahead and roll damage.
gonna use a gift die for damage.
You can't. You can't use
Oh, I
the
can't?
gift die on damage.
No.
That's like the one roll you can't use on. You can use it attacks, skill checks,
Okay.
saves, not damage.
That's fine. That's fine then. I thought I could. I thought you said anything. You lied.
9.
Jesus.
So,
Gondor.
You
Give me that
run
rock
and-
cover.
You run and jump over the creek and get into a position just on the opposite side of the horse as you're notching an arrow. You've switched out your notching an arrow, and you stop and try to sort of steady yourself, and you're moving around looking for that shot, and the horse is in the way, and you see a tiny arm reach up above to come down on the civilian on the cart, and they let out a scream, which is enough to sort of spook the horse a bit more with this goblin so close to it, and actually rears up, and in that split second as they go up on their hind legs, you find that gap, and you let the arrow go, and it goes right underneath the horse's abdomen and impales the goblin in an open chest. 9 damage, he's dead.
Yeah, buddy. Okay. Yeah, that's all my movements, my action. That's my turn.
All right, Locke.
Hopefully, finishing this will be the bad roll.
Will your luck hold
Call it
out?
now.
Let's find out next time. Oh no.
Dragon Ball Z.
Whack!
20 will hit. 5. So as your initial parry off, he leaves himself open as he stammers up, and you flip the blade around and cut him back down with sort of a reverse grip across the throat, right past the shield. And he stumbles forward and drops the shield and his weapon and falls to his knees. And as you just sort of continue to walk past him, knowing that he's done, you just place a boot on his chest, kick him to the ground. He's dead. And the threat is seemingly past. And that's where we're going to take a break.
Woo!
For Ric Flair. Woo!
Yep. So we'll be right back. Hail, adventurer! Are you a dungeon master with a desire to transport your players to fantastical settings? Perhaps they are deep in the dungeon of a mad lich.
Fools, you have intervened for the last time. Let's see you survive my fireball.
Or perhaps the party has just come across bandits, and the Goliath monk releases a flurry of blows and a stunning strike to gain control of the conflict. Nice rolls on the attack. Or maybe the party is taking a breather after another difficult quest. If this sounds like something you want at your next TTRPG session, then head over to battlebards.com. By subscribing to BattleBards Prime, you get the ability to immerse your players in your campaign. You'll get complete streaming access to the libraries of both BattleBards and Platemail games. And whether your game is in person or virtual, you won't be limited, as you will have access to a caster and a mixer to be able to broadcast the tracks to all of your players. And of course, if you want to download and keep any tracks, then you get 20% off all in-store purchases. So what are you waiting for, adventurer? A quest posting at the local guild hall? Get over to battlebards.com and subscribe today, and use the coupon code ADVENTURE at checkout. Stay proficient, adventurers. Hail, adventurer. Are you a dungeon master with a desire to transport your players to fantastical settings? Perhaps they are deep in the dungeon of a mad lich.
Fools, you have intervened for the last time. Let's see you survive my fireball.
Or perhaps the party has just come across bandits, and the Goliath monk releases a flurry of blows and a stunning strike to gain control of the conflict. Nice rolls on the attack. Or maybe the party is taking a breather after another difficult quest. If this sounds like something you want at your next TTRPG session, then head over to battlebards.com. By subscribing to BattleBards Prime, you get the ability to immerse your players in your campaign. You'll get complete streaming access to the libraries of both BattleBards and Platemail games. And whether your game is in person or virtual, you won't be limited, as you will have access to a caster and a mixer to be able to broadcast the tracks to all of your players. And of course, if you want to download and keep any tracks, then you get 20% off all in-store purchases. So what are you waiting for, adventurer? A quest posting at the local guild hall? Get over to battlebards.com and subscribe today, and use the coupon code ADVENTURE at checkout. Stay proficient, adventurers. And we're back. Yes, little red light tells me we're back. Cool, we're back. I hope you're all enjoying the first episode of Campaign 2, because I don't have a title for it. Sue me.
The Darkening of Gondor.
Everything just eventually darkens. It's a theme.
I mean,
deal with
that
it.
kind of is a theme with Tolkien's work.
Gondolin.
Yeah.
The myth, the legend, the reason for everything. A story.
Yeah.
Everyone else is drinking.
Slight update on the schedule that you probably saw during our ad break. Our Power Hour, if you will, with Kevin on Friday will not be happening this week. It will also not be happening next week. Mr. Thick Thighs over here has a competition.
Already taking a vacation. Just started that slide.
this
You're
guy.
already taking PTO.
Well, actually, so
This
the one
guy.
next week, I actually should be able to do.
But I was joking. Don't push yourself. If you can't do it, it's okay.
No, legit, should be able to do it, actually.
Matt, as a manager, you want 2 days of PTO? Well, I could swing one, but no, I'm kidding. Please don't take it. Take it. You want 3? Have 3 days of PTO.
We get PTO here? Wow.
What? No, I don't.
Wait, you're getting paid?
I think I got the trailer.
I thought that. I mean, I guess the trailer could be a form of payment.
Ken?
It's a compensation of sorts, yes. But what exactly are you doing instead of streaming to the masses?
Well, this week was competition. Next week was going to be doctor's appointment. But...
But fuck doctors!
Yeah, right?
What do you have?
So-
Gonorrhea?
Yes, pretty bad.
Oh,
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad, man.
Hmm.
Okay, got like little white trees appearing, like man, it's bad. Like you see this? You see this little white trees form? It's bad. It's bad, man.
We have established that Malbor is the creator of Gondoria for Polly. So you are patient zero.
Kevin,
Dude,
every time you say that's bad, I'm just thinking of the scene in Shrek with Robin Hood going, "That's bad.
That's bad.
really,
That's
really
very,
bad."
very bad.
oh man.
Anyway, what are you competing in? What are you doing?
Taekwondo.
Being a bitch.
I thought I was reigning champion at that.
Ooh.
All right, so I will be selling tickets. Brian v. Kevin.
Give me both
God.
Brian and Matt.
And I'm just a bitch.
Despite what the viewers may think, Brian at least puts up a decent fight in this circumstance. It's not a guaranteed loss.
I'm what the ladies would call scrappy.
Whereas if it were me, it's a guaranteed loss. Because I cannot fucking take a punch like Brian, so Kevin would just land one once and just
Flatline you.
I would have no shame in sending my wife in my place for this fight.
I'll break the other rib.
I was gonna say she's at least taken a kick from Kevin, so there's that.
She's also managed to bruise him with a punch.
Multiple bruises. Got photo evidence for the lawyers. Anyway.
Oh no. I feel like we have gotten very derailed here.
That's not terribly hard for us to do.
Especially post-break.
Yeah, true.
Our schedule is slightly amended for this week and potentially next week. Keep an eye out in Discord, Twitter for updates of that sort. Everything else should be the same. Except that's next week. I'll get to that next week. No. Cool. All right. So let's get back into it. So as the Snagas and the one orc fall motionless at one of your feet, one of your pairs of feet, the rest of you see them drop. You take a moment, gather yourselves, and get a lay of the land immediately to make sure that the immediate threat has been dealt with. You don't see any movement or any sort of aggressive actions in your direction. What would you like to do?
I'm going to. Ooh, not bad.
I'm going to check. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
I'm going to run up to. I'm just checking something really quick. Wait a minute. Oh, never mind. Fuck me.
Okay.
Well,
No thanks.
roll a
No,
d20.
I thought medicine. For some reason, I thought medicine was an int skill, not a. I might be getting my tabletop RPGs confused. But it's a wisdom skill. So I'm gonna run up, and I'm just going to direct. I'm just gonna run up. I'm gonna say, kid, check on the wounded civilians. I'll check on the guards.
All right. How did Locke roll better than me? That's bullshit.
So it not been the story of the night.
Oh my gosh! What is with our rolls tonight, Kevin?
Wait, did you all roll d20s purely because I said roll a d20?
Yeah.
Yep. I know what it was for. I did it.
We listened.
Fuck, you all get inspiration for listening. Damn.
You were over here trying to be sly, and we all went for it.
Ordinarily, I hear the little roll 20 ding. I didn't hear it at all.
I didn't either. I was confused.
I'm not even mad. I'm impressed.
Mahogany.
I'm just
All
gonna
right.
I'm gonna check the nearest guard to me, see if they're living or deceased.
And I'll
Sure,
check
go ahead
the
and give me-
civilians.
Go and give me medicine checks. Locke, what are you doing?
Also, looking in the nearest thing. Why can't? Why are words hard? The nearest wagon
Hey.
to see if there's anyone still alive.
Go and give me. There's one individual there who seems to be a little quiet, disregarding the fallen soldier by your feet. You can also give me medicine as well.
It's okay. Syrian's got this with his one modifier.
Malvor, you take a look around, and it's not terribly hard to see. You see, with the soldier,
he's dead.
yeah, it's a cut across the throat. The bleeding at this rate is almost stopped. It's a slow trickle, and you don't see any breathing or anything like that.
Actually,
soldier is
the
definitely
bleeding
dead.
stopped. That's a good sign.
It's clotting. Yeah.
Are you mad?
I rolled a 3 on my medicine, so.
Dark.
Locke, with a 7, you don't even pay mind to the soldier on the ground. You definitely have written him off as dead. You check the individual sort of slump in the cart. You move him about, and you see several lacerations in the wounds or on their body. They don't appear to be breathing either. Syrian, you come to that cart that has 2 individuals in it. You check their vitals. You look them over. One has a wound in the leg, the other one in the abdomen. They're both currently unconscious for sure. You check for breathing and you check their heart rate. They seem to be alive, though they are unconscious, and you're not sure how much longer they may have.
Okay, so I'll check the one with the ankle, and I'll assume it's pretty shallow-ish.
Checking what?
Checking the one with the ankle. Did you say one was stabbed in the ankle or something? Or did I miss you? Abdomen. What happened to the other one?
Leg.
Leg. Okay, that's the one I heard. So leg, I'll wrap up, bandage that, and then I'll check the one with the abdomen. Do I know? Now, this might be a little bit metagaming on my end, but can I check for poison?
I mean, you certainly can, if that's something a Syrian would do.
Well, what do you know that goblins like their poison?
I mean, he definitely served. He's fought them before, so it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Okay, yeah, I would like to check for poison.
Okay. Go ahead and give me another medicine check to investigate whether or not these wounds seem infected by poison. Unless there's a different way you would wish to check for poison.
I would probably just look around the wound and see if any, like, discoloration or anything from... Even check, like, the goblin's blades. But since I'm there...
Lick the blade.
Yeah, if you want,
yeah.
If you're checking the blades, go ahead and give me an investigation check. Otherwise, the wounds will be medicine.
All right, I'll do investigation.
Oh my gosh!
18.
The luck has moved. The luck has moved from Dap to Kevin.
As it should.
You pick up the blade from the goblin and you look it over, and there does seem to be a faint paste of sorts, like a brownish green paste across the edge of the blade that you know for a fact is not blood. It doesn't have the consistency of blood. It doesn't have the coloration of blood, and it seems more or less more herbal in nature. So more than likely some form of poison.
Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna look back at Locke and be like, You have any skill with healing?
Not particularly, to be perfectly frank.
Okay. In that case, I'm gonna try and find a way to neutralize the poison. I'm gonna yell up, I got poison on the blades, and I got 2 unconscious ones in the cart.
On honest question, would King's Foil be of any help in this scenario out of my own knowledge, having collected it before and things of that nature, and my relationship with...
Go ahead and give me a medicine check.
Okay. This will probably be bad because we're shifting to regular luck.
Oh!
21!
Oh!
Just kidding!
Your luck's changing, kid.
Be right back. Taking that luck back, homie.
Quick, go play the lottery.
While not terribly versed in healing or medicine or herbalism, even in its most basic form, you've been around it enough with your friend back in Osgiliath. And
You don't want to mispronounce again. Kidding.
I will figure it out. I know. There's a way to pronounce it. Yeah, something like this. Tolkien, why did you do this to me?
Metagame.
But you've been around it enough and have harvested enough to know that in its raw form, it can't really do a whole lot. Not in this particular situation.
Gotta chew it first.
Okay.
Yeah, slide in there, because that won't be infected.
I'm pretty sure that's what Aragorn did in the movie.
It's exactly what he did.
Just like,
And I'm pretty sure the books are nothing like that happening at that point.
You for the most part, you would probably know that if they were to have a chance, they would need a healer.
Well, are the animals down and dead?
Horses are alive.
How are the wagon wheels on the lake?
They're fine, from what you can tell. Go ahead and give me an investigation check.
Meanwhile, while he's like searching for that, I'm gonna bandage up the one with the abdomen wound as well, just to stop any bleeding.
All right, 15. So as it's getting a bit darker out now, and you're giving a once over the 2 wagons, trying to figure out if they're in condition to travel, or if you're going to have to do this the hard way and lug two bodies all the way back to Osgiliath. That might take an hour or so, and at that rate, it might be difficult for them to stay alive. You're giving them a once-over, and something actually does catch your eye in one of them. And while the wagons themselves do seem fairly well intact, the horses are spooked, if anything. The wheels might be a little sunken into the earth right now, but nothing that the horse probably can't just pull out. But in the wagons themselves appear to be several crates, sealed, some equipment scattered about. But one in sort of the back wagon, there is an open crate that appears to have a reinforced crate made of metal at sort of the corners, and inside appears to be rock and rubble and some darkish sort of looking ore.
Ooh.
If, ladies and gentlemen.
And I would like to extend a thanks to the artist that has made this one. Artie, thank you.
That looks so nice.
New artist handling certain handouts and stuff, because let's face it, Lindsay can't do all of this, and some of it might be spoiler for her.
Now we have an art team now.
We
For
do,
growing.
basically. And some of the stuff I've already told her to make that you guys are going to encounter, you are not gonna be happy with.
I'm aware enough without knowing anything really. I just know that she keeps, anytime I come nearby, hiding her iPad. So
I love this art though.
Yeah, it's sick.
it is fucking nice.
It is really nice. I love the vibe.
You know what? That's the name of that's the name of the campaign. Dark Ore.
Dark Ore. It's got a ring to it.
It does.
50 sessions
Okay.
from now, you're gonna be fighting Earth Elementals.
Oh no.
Don't no. Or no, token no.
Yeah, no. Nope. But yeah, the carts seem well enough for travel. The one unconscious individual seems mostly in almost peasant-esque clothing. He's got sort of like a leather cap on. He's got like black marks around the hands and the face. And just sort of plain-looking clothing, sort of browns and greens. The other one next to him is in a little bit finer-looking clothing, slicked back hair, dressed in sort of like a dark navy blues and blacks, and with sort of silver inlays. Those are the two unconscious individuals.
Would these appearances mean anything to me with either history or traditions?
Go ahead and give me a traditions check.
Can
Appearance-wise.
I assist because I'm proficient in it? I'm widely traveled.
Not in this particular case. You can look on your own and make your own traditions check to see if you recognize this person or these people.
I mean, might as well have proficiency, so.
I will take the 18.
You know what? I'm proficient in it too, and I don't want to be left out. So I'm gonna see
16.
what
Wait,
these
are we
people
all
about.
proficient in
Are we all
traditions?
proficient in
Why are we
traditions?
all proficient? I took it because I was planning on being the face of the group.
I took it because of my background. It was given to me.
I think same.
Yeah.
Well. Okay.
So 18 from Locke, 16 from Malvor, 7 from Syrian.
Yeah, I have no fucking idea. I'm not gonna listen.
You
Just
do
don't spoil it.
still have that gift die if you want to burn it for this.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
It has not been a
Alright.
full 10 minutes.
All right, let's. Yeah, why the fuck
May as
not?
well.
I don't know what else you're
And
gonna
you're-
use it for at this point. Time's running out. A 9.
9!
Say, and to be fair, your DC is a little lower because you're Gondorian than Locke's. Locke's DC is a little higher.
Mm.
All right, so 18 from Locke, 16 from Malvor, and a 9 from Syrian. Syrian, you have no idea who this is or who they are in general.
Okay.
Malvor,
Excuse me.
you know, actually, Locke and Malvor, you both recognize the sort of rougher looking individual as probably just like a miner of sorts. Doesn't seem to be of any important stature or gravitas, more or less just a commoner. The other individual, you notice the hands seem a bit cleaner, definitely paler in complexion, which isn't alluding to any type of stature, but the clothing is definitely cleaner, it's definitely nicer. While you might not know who exactly this is, they do seem to be a little bit more well-off in Gondorian society. In fact, Syrian, you notice in a heartbeat, the guards. They're not regular Gondorian soldiers. They are actually with tower shields and winged feathered helms. These are citadel guards, basically honor guards, who are usually touted about for a little bit more VIPs than just your typical folk around town.
Gents, these are Citadel guards. This person in there is a big deal.
Well, then, I suggest we take the wagons and get them to the House of Ithilien in Osgiliath as fast as we can.
Agreed.
I could not agree more.
You, friend, what's your name?
You can call me Locke.
Locke, Syrian.
Name's Malvor.
About to say grumpy old man?
Malvor.
Understood. Well, I would love to continue these pleasantries. Let's get these gentlemen loaded up and get on our way.
Yes, we could talk. We could talk on the road while being. Let's go.
I agree.
Precisely.
So one of the
Anyone in
wagons.
the group trained in animal handling.
I don't think so.
Hold on.
Unless I can persuade the animals.
Nope.
No. One of the wagons.
Horse whisperer.
So if I understand correctly, one wagon has the two unconscious individuals in it, and the other wagon has corpses in it.
Back wagon has the two unconscious. Front wagon has a dead man.
Okay, so I don't like the idea of just leaving their corpses out in the woods. So I'm going to work on gathering all the guards' corpses and putting them in the wagon with the dead man.
Okay.
Well, you do that. I'm gonna go ahead and kick off ahead of you because I feel like we're playing beat the clock right now. So
That's
Yes,
fair.
we need to-
I'll bring the second wagon up behind.
I'm going with the first wagon. Like, I'm hauling it out of there.
All right, so Locke and Syrian in the wagon with the unconscious. Malvor, the old man, lugging bodies in full plate armor
Don't-
behind.
Don't worry. I got this. I got this,
you
kids.
got this, Elder One. I believe in you.
I got this, kids. Just get them to safety.
Don't
The
die.
young in spirit.
The power of youth.
All right.
13 animal handling to drive the wagon.
Yeah, no, I mean these horses are trained for this, so it's not terribly difficult. The 13 is good enough to calm them from the situation that they just encountered. So you and Syrian hop on. Syrian, you sort of sit in the back
I'm in
of
the
the
back.
wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in the back.
Just
I
keep
think you
an eye on them.
probably transitioned one of the bodies to lay them flat as best they can to keep them sort of stable. Locke, you maneuver the wagon around the other one, and you whip the reins to try and get it to as much of a gallop as you can to get back to the city. And you,
Bouncing them around too much.
yeah, you peel out. If a horse-drawn wagon could peel out.
The wheels do a burnout.
Yeah. Syrian's looking out the back going, oh man, slap a muffler on this thing.
It's the orc spine. It just gives that right twist.
But you guys start heading off as the sun is arcing towards the west to try and as it begins to set. Malvor, you hang back and lug 3 bodies into the back, moving supplies around, move the other individual into the back as well as time wanes on.
Malvo
Take
begins.
a moment to catch your breath.
Malvo begins to think like he had good intentions, but it's getting dark and he's alone.
All by myself.
He's dedicated now, though.
I don't know why this broke me as bad as it did.
I need you to make a dexterity saving throw. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah, I heard you start saying that. I was like, oh no, this is why I die.
This is how the level 1 death occurs. It's okay. He left thousands of suns in his way.
My hip. My hip. No.
The werewolf just appears behind you. What you doing? You eventually, maybe after about 20 minutes after they left, got everything situated, and you calm the horse, and you set out for the city. Humming your tunes.
Yep.
Yeah, Switch up our soundscape. Battle barns, everyone. The first wagon, you are approaching the main eastern gate of Osgiliath, as you see one half of the gate is closed as they are getting ready to basically seal the city for the night. But the left side of it is still open, and you come up to the point as the guards sort of stand out and hold up their hands. Halt! What's your business?
We have poisoned individuals back here.
Poisoned, injured individuals. We need to get to the House of Healing in Manayame.
Give a persuasion check. At advantage, you both worked.
Oh,
one of you can do it.
Does it have
One of you can do it at advantage.
Oops, forgot to click advantage. I'll just roll it again. Thank God for advantage!
12. The one, as you're telling him this, is standing there just listening to your story like, I get this every other night. This is ridiculous. Why is there no other better story than like, oh, we have sick, we have injured, why? There's always something. But his partner is sort of doing a sweep around, and he looks in the back. No, they actually have sick. Let them through. Let them go. He's like, oh, okay, and he stands off to the side. Oh, shit. This is real. This isn't a drill.
I even said a damn healer by name.
They let you on through, and you go through the stone, transition from the dirt road to the stone roads of Osgiliath, and you direct the cart through the crowds up into the northeastern side of the city, yelling at people to move and get out of the way, as it's a slightly busier at this time of evening for whatever reason. Maybe people are just enjoying being out, or they have places to be for what people still live here. But you do eventually come on up to the houses of healing, and you can see candle and torchlight lit within as the day is getting close to evening. What are you doing?
I am
ain't
yelling for money.
I'm like rushing the one with a leg in first.
So you hop down, you scoop one up, and you run inside. Locke is yelling for a healer from Manawame. As that's happening, Syrian, you rush inside, and you come to sort of like the foyer. There's no reception here. It's basically just like an open hallway that splits off to either continue straight or to the left and right. And you stop, and there's a couple of people moving about. In one young individual, not really like a hood, but is just sort of like a loose bit of cloth about halfway up their head and just sort of trims down with the rest of their robes. And she comes up to you and looks up. What happened?
Goblin attack. We have 2 that have been poisoned. This one in the leg, the other one in there in the abdomen.
She looks him over. Makes a check. He looks him over, inspects the wound real quickly. Points off towards the right. Down that hallway, 3rd archway on the left.
Thank you. And I'm going to run down.
Please hurry. Please hurry.
Going as fast as I go. I'm going to yell back, so I'm running, going as fast as I can.
At that point, in sort of like the 2nd level out a window, Manawami points her head out. Locke, what brings you here at this hour?
Goblin attack. Or orc attack. Words. Sorry.
No, they were goblins and orcs. To be fair, you were correct the first time.
Don't second guess yourself.
Do you need assistance?
Absolutely. Injured, poisoned. Good news, I have plenty of king spoil for you.
Well, I do enjoy when you bring me both good and bad news, Locke. I'll be right down. Bring them inside.
I'll go back and work on carrying the other individual in.
At this point, Malvor, you arrive, and I don't know why, but I'm imagining that the caravan is in a worse state than it was before. I don't know, you pulled down a wrong neighborhood or something, forgot where you were going. I don't know. That's just in my mind. One wheel's like wobbling, going...
It was like that.
But you pull up behind them, with about 4 corpses in the back.
Bring out your bed!
I'm just now realizing the optics of this.
It looks like, I mean, honestly, it kind of looks like we murdered them.
Yeah, it looks bad. Looks pretty bad. But you arrive just as you see Locke hop down from the other wagon and come around back to get the other individual out. What would you like to do?
I have no injured in my cart, so I'm just gonna follow them inside with follow Locke inside with the injured person, the second injured person, just see what I can do, to get a grasp of the situation.
I love how that statement came off. Well, my wagon has no injured. I'm doing better than you fucks.
No, that's not how I meant it, but...
And what's sad is we are in session 1, still establishing personalities, and that just still screams Malvor to me. That exact attitude. This is how he made it to old man age, still at level 1. With a full military career.
There were no wars in his lifetime.
He was the quartermaster. Yeah, you follow Locke inside. Locke, you hang right and go down towards the direction where you're familiar with Manawame to be conducting her work. Not where you met her earlier in the day, but later on. You come in and there's a small room that is lit by torchlight, and there's a small wooden counter that has a pestle and mortar on it, not in it. That's weird. Couple of glass vials that are labeled in a parchment with black ink, all of which... do any of you speak Sindarin?
I think I do. Hold on.
Sindarin and
Oh,
Kenya.
I do. Malvor does.
It's on my
I think
sheet.
you all do.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, all three of you. Yeah.
We're just a couple of language buddies.
They're all regular Renaissance men.
Oh yeah,
Can you
squad.
sing
All of them, all of, all of them are labeled in Cinderin, and they're all just various names of herbs and weeds and flowers and plants of sorts.
Herbs and weeds.
Herbs and weeds. Herbs and weeds. There's a trough of water and a couple of metal utensils that look like they could be used for medical purposes, maybe torture. Depends on really how you use them. And then there's a longer wooden table opposite of that is where Syrian has placed the first individual. Which individual did you bring in, by the way, Syrian?
The leg injury.
Not the abdomen one?
No, because I didn't want to move him because I figured if I moved him anymore with that kind of injury, it would be more harmful, and I wasn't sure how to do it.
As Locke comes in with them.
I'd like to think Malvor helped.
Yes, Malvor will help. Malvor's there
Okay.
to help. He's not an expert in medicine, but he's an extra pair of hands where it's needed. And sometimes, and you know, he'll say that. He'll say that. He'll say, I have no...
You grab the feet, I grab the shoulders. We bring him in flat.
I
He'll
have
be
no
fine.
training in medicine, but sometimes all you need is an extra pair of hands.
Very true.
Malvor 2024.
So you bring in Syrian, the one with the leg wound, who happens to be the bit finer dressed, cleaner looking individual, very tall, lanky individual. For his height, when you picked him up, he's a fairly light person. He's like no muscle, no fat, very lanky, skinny dude. But finely dressed, very clean looking, with the exception of the leg wound in like the left thigh. And you place him on the table, and his limbs sort of outstretched just a little bit past the table. That's sort of how tall he is. He's probably pushing 6'6".
Damn.
Look, they
tall
a
boy.
lot of Dunedain and Gondorian are tall people.
There.
It's just how it is.
Must have gotten a little shorter in my old
Actually,
age.
have to look up at them. I'm only a measly 6'2".
I'm 5'8".
I'm 6'1". I'm 6'1".
Tallest
Very
in the
tall
group is the elf.
I mean, that's fair. That does kind of make sense.
It does
In
in
my
this
mind.
world.
But you place him down, and you see the beads of sweat beginning to pool on his brow, and his eyes sort of furrow as his body is trying to fight off whatever is coursing through his veins right now. As you place him down shortly after your other two, one companion, other one guy just met, not trusting him yet. He's an elf. We don't fucking know about that. They come in with the other one, and there's not immediately a place to set him. So if that sways anything that you two do, as you walk in, there's not another table for him currently.
Oh, if there's not a table, the floor has to work.
Drop.
Gently and in a clean spot.
Yeah, you drop him. You gently set him down, and as you do, Manawame comes through a little bit exasperated. Seemingly ran downstairs a couple of flights. All right, what is the situation?
The injury. This is the one that was poisoned, correct?
I would imagine they are both poisoned.
Both are poisoned.
Well,
Stab with a
this is
goblin
the-
blade. There was like a white greenish residue on the blade.
that.
An abdominal wound, ankle wound, or leg wound.
In particular, this one has, as we said, the abdominal injury. I did not want to have just one of us bringing him in.
Yeah, she begins looking them both over as you're speaking. And sort of drawing her own conclusions, but listening to everything you're saying. How did this happen?
Ambush.
Goblins from the trees.
Cart just coming down the way, and they've ambushed them. Guards didn't stand a chance.
I quiet. Are there any others in the House of Healing around her?
Not
around us
currently,
right now,
no.
so- Okay, then I wouldn't necessarily whisper it. Citadel gods.
No corpses.
She look.
Corpses are in the wagon outside.
She looks up at the first word of goblin ambush in the forest and takes in slowly every little bit of information that you're saying. She stands up as you continue to talk, and she goes over to the counter and starts divvying up several herbs, adding some water to it, and beginning to grind it with a pestle and mortar. How far out from the city?
Oh,
Forget how they actually measure distance.
I think we were about, if I remember correctly, we were about an hour out.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
An hour by foot, right? Or was it an
Yeah.
hour by horseback?
Yep.
I don't imagine the wagons travel too much faster than feet.
They were definitely weighed down with the amount of stuff inside of them. Goblin attack this close to the city, that's... They seem to be getting bolder. And she picks up the pestle and, like, without even looking, hands it back in your direction, Locke. Apply this to the one's leg wound.
Hydrate or dihydrate.
Do so as directed.
She pulls another pestle out from a cabinet near her and begins another mixture. One of the two of you, she turns around to Syrian and Malvor. Find one of the attendants in the hallway. Tell them that there are corpses that need attended to in the wagon that you brought. Can't leave them to rot now, can we?
No, we
I'm
cannot.
gonna look at Malvor with a little smirk. You brought him.
I will take care of them. I will see it done. Yeah. Don't stress too much about it, kid.
Oh yes, my stress level is now significantly reduced.
And don't let the fact that you were right about the ambush go to your head.
Sorry, what? I got something in my head. I can't hear you.
And Malvol will go ahead and make his way out the hallway and find an attendant.
As soon as he leaves, all I can say is, I will never understand the relationships between you humans.
Not much to get. We've been on a couple jobs here and there.
Madawame just says, it does not improve in time. She continues to
believe that.
make this paste out of the herbs and water. She then turns to you, Syrian, and hands you the other mortar and says, apply this to his abdomen wound immediately, and apply a pressure to the wound as well.
I'll take it and I'll do as she says.
She goes up to the cabinet and pulls out a fairly large candle, maybe that big around, and takes out a flint and strikes it to light the candle. Then takes a little pedestal that sits above it and takes a different herb off to the side, cracks it off of its stem, pours it over, and crushes it down to let it burn. And almost after a few minutes, the two of you take in this sort of sweet-smelling aroma as she's burning some sort of incense to help the air in the room.
Oh, what is this?
It's just one of our many tricks from Lorien. It'll help ease the mind as we pull the poison from them. The less they remember, the better.
I say the same thing when I go to the tavern.
I bet
I'll
you
drink
do.
to that.
She then comes over with a bit of like a metal-looking clamp and comes over to the individual on the table and places the clamp and sort of a leather belt around at the top, right above the wound, and basically tourniquets it off and cuts off the blood flow. And she takes a utensil and begins messing around inside the wound. You can hear like sort of the wet grinding motion on the inside as she occasionally scrapes bone and is looking for certain things.
Ow.
She looks up at you, Locke. A little bit more pressure right above the wound, please.
I go as instructed. I'm sure this is far from the first time I've had to help with something like this with her, and press as requested.
You. She looks back towards you, Syrian. So she does not know your name currently. You grab a bit of cloth off the counter, please, and wipe his brow.
No, do that.
With haste, please.
On it.
She continues to dig and pull, and eventually you see her pull out with like a wet suction sound as it comes out, pulling with a bit of blood coming off of it, a blackish-looking barb of that size inside the thigh. She tosses it off to the side. And leave up on the pressure a little bit.
So
She takes a look back at you, Syrian. In the cabin's around there. You should see a dark bottle that's corked. Can you grab it, please?
Of course. And I'll go grab it.
You grab it, you bring it back, and then she pulls the cork off with a boop. And she sniffs it real quick, blinks a couple times, and then pours it on the wound, and then takes a cloth and wipes the wound clean. And she hands it back to you, and you find a very familiar scent of whiskey.
Syrian just kind of like looks like back and forth for a second, like. Like I'm gonna slowly bring it up and take like a little swig out of it.
Calms the nerves, does it?
You can say that. I'm calm as a cucumber. You've seen a couple battles. Nothing like this is really surprising.
At this point, Malvor, you've returned. It was not terribly hard to find someone. They're sort of all over the place. After this point, she sort of cleans the wound and moves over to the individual on the ground. Inspects the wound. Is a little bit rougher, as it seems like a cut as opposed to a stab. So there's a little bit more to work with there. She looks it over, does initially sort of what she did before, and then ultimately says, I'm going to need a little bit more expertise and aid here. The other healers here will suffice. Locke, if you would be a dear. Retrieve at least 2 of them for me.
I go out and immediately look for the closest 2.
Takes you a couple of seconds as you sort of rush out and look around, flag down the first 2 that you see, and they come in, and they begin assisting her. And she, in the middle of this, looks at all of you. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. At this point, unfortunately, it is up to us. It'll do you some good to get some rest. Let's go about your business. If there's anything else that comes of this that requires your attention, we'll be sure to let you know.
'Tis appreciated.
Thank you, my lady, for handling this kind of intrusion. Sorry to barge in like this.
It's what we do. My healers and I will see to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll just turn and walk out.
Yeah, Malvo will leave. He was requested to leave. He'll walk out.
So the 3 of you exit the houses of healing. The wagons are still out there, though they are currently absent of corpses. That has been dealt with for now.
I'm actually going to go investigate the wagon before we do anything. Like, I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to go walk up and look inside. I'm And I don't know what these two are gonna do, but Syrian's just like, there has to be a reason.
Okay. Go ahead and give me an investigation check.
Gosh.
What specifically are you looking for? Like, what are you trying to ascertain?
Any treasure or anything that really like sticks out to the eye that the goblins potentially would want, not just a target, because goblins like shiny stuff. Maybe they saw the armor, they saw the caravan, and they're like, okay, let's go rob these boys of their treasure or something.
So you look it over, and there's a couple of crates and chests inside. The one that's mostly open is the one filled with sort of like that dark ore. Maybe it's like an iron or an obsidian sort of looking sheen to it. None of the... Okay, good night. That was... Okay. The chests aren't locked or anything like that, so you just sort of pop them open. The first one you look at appears to be a satchel or a backpack with a miner's pick, a bucket, and a shovel. The next one appears to be sort of white stone, sort of rock that seems to be broken up and put in. The other one appears to be sort of the same, of white stone and rock. Not ore, just sort of like rock broken up and piled in.
Yeah.
And the fourth one, with the exception of the like sort of obsidian ore, appears to be sort of supplies like sleeping materials, camp, or just tools.
Guys are mining for something, but what?
I do find it a little strange that there was someone of such seemingly prestige traveling with miners.
Someone with prestige wanted this kind of stuff. Do I know how valuable any of this ore or anything is?
The fuck kind of check is that?
I would argue that if he had proficiency in miners' tools, he could make, or smith's tools, he could make a check using either of those. Otherwise,
Nature, history.
Figure it out since I've got artisan. I'm a craftsman.
In this case, Syrian, give me a riddle check.
Ooh.
I am not proficient in... Oh my gosh.
17, baby.
17. Very interesting. The 3 crates of white stone seem to be fairly on par of what you would find that has sort of built Osgiliath, built Minas Ithil, built Minas Honor or Minas Tirith. And considering the state of Osgiliath, then these very well track with supplies to sort of rebuild or reconstruct certain things. So that sort of makes sense. The dark ore in particular is unique. You've never seen that before. Maybe it's decorative. Maybe it is valuable. You can't place a value on it, but you do get the understanding of everything from this probably came from a dig site or a quarry of some sorts.
This is a lot of busy work for guys like those in there. What were they mining this for?
Well, it might do us some good to come back perhaps tomorrow if either one of them awake.
I'll probably sleep on it. I'm just curious what goblins would want with this.
To be fair, it also could have just been bad luck. Goblins and orcs don't have any qualms about killing.
You're right.
They don't, but a coordinated attack of this nature...
It takes planning.
They knew what they were going after.
And they specifically went after the guys in the wagon. They
His
didn't bring.
mystery.
They didn't bring torches or anything, so they weren't going to destroy it. Curious. Something to drink could probably help.
Drink. Well, probably doesn't hold the answers you're searching for, kid, but it'll help distract you.
What's wrong with the distraction?
Nothing. Sometimes that's what you need.
We walked away from a battle. We possibly saved 2 lives. I think that's a call for a celebration.
And honestly, as one that's been around these lands infinitely longer than you, old one, a drink does go a long way after a day like this.
Okay, this is a little trippy. The guy who looks younger than me is calling him the young one. This is
Yes.
maybe 2 drinks.
How old are you, firstborn?
I think I was 500 something. Yeah, 575.
That tracks.
Indeed.
That tracks.
I'm closing in. I'm closing in on starting my 6th century of life.
I'll be blessed by the Valar if I hit 1 century. But the experience and wisdom you carry in your 6 centuries will be invaluable.
I do not dismiss your own experiences. One of the advantages of a shorter-lived life is the quality of that short time. It's easy for an elf to spend hundreds of years in routine.
You honor me, although I do feel my life up to this point, well, enjoyable. Hasn't been impactful, but I have a feeling fate might be changing. Well, I'm an old man, and it is past my bedtime. So, I should go find a bed so I can get my 12 hours in.
It's like 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. He's like,
All right.
I'm gonna go find me a quick drink, and I'll turn it as well.
drink.
Yeah.
So
Locke.
it sounds
Locke, was it?
'Tis indeed, and Sirion and Malvor?
Yeah, Malvol's my name.
So I was gonna leave that to Matt to make sure.
Hey,
Okay.
speak up.
Locke, you're welcome to join me if you wish.
I think I'll take you up on that, friend.
Drinks on me then.
If you insist, I'll never say no.
It's
Not that
Malvor,
kind
you
of never say no.
turn in for the night then.
I earned that after my opening statement of this session.
Yeah, Malvol's just gonna go turn in.
All right, so you return. We'll handle you in a minute.
God damn it, Polly.
Sirion and Locke, the two of you head over. Actually, you all three of you did a bit of like, yeah, we're gonna go our separate ways, and you continue walking with each other for a period of time. As you make your way out of the east side of Osgiliath and head across one of the great bridges across the river Anduin into the west. And as you do, you look around and you see sort of like the scars and blemishes from when Osgiliath was sacked. One in particular is... Actually, all of you go ahead and give me a history check.
History is not my
Ignoy.
strongs, is it?
You sure this isn't something I already know?
This is not. This is specifically to...
Should I burn my inspiration?
No,
On a
not for
history check.
history.
I'm really tempted to. You know how I roll. I like to burn my inspiration on useless checks. I don't think any check is
Easter
useless.
honest.
So you're not burning it?
I'm not burning it. They convinced me not
11,
to.
7, 11, 7, and 13. Okay.
That's
the
a
three of
natural
you,
2. Fuck me.
Oh, thank you.
the
Ah,
three
Do I
of
have to
you,
roll? Do I have to roll a d20 again?
Oh my.
swear to God. The three of you stroll across the bridge, one of the bridges spanning the Anduin, and you see sort of rubble of a older tower that once stood sort of in the middle of the river. But you press on and make it over to the other side, and come over towards the market square, where it's sort of like if you've ever been in East Germany, specifically Berlin, where there's a clear line of what was Soviet, what was East, what was West, and it's just like you can see the division of old and new, rubble and still standing. There's just buildings that have been burned out and destroyed and just haven't been bothered to be stood back up. There's several that are still in fairly good condition, and some that are just sort of heading towards, like, they got sort of like half of it, like half their building was destroyed, and they're like, oh, well, we're still here though. But it's evening now. The market square has been fairly cleared out. Malvor, you continue on, leaving the two behind as you continue on for the barracks on the western side in one of the districts. And you two stop off at the King's Respite, one of the only tavern and inns left in Osgiliath. And the question
I'll walk in and find a seat.
Question is that I find a decent enough soundscape for an inn for a somewhat half-abandoned town. I think I did.
I think you did too.
As you walk in, and there's a few people in, it's fairly quiet. There's one individual in the corner sitting on a stool, shittily playing a lute. It's not good. It's not even tuned.
I should have been there, but that's okay.
And it's about the only real ambience or sound that you're getting inside. There's an elderly man behind the bar with sort of like a medium-length gray beard, and his posture is sort of hunched over. He has a few blotches on his face. He looks up and sees the two of you come in. Come. What can I get for you?
2 drinks, Win.
2 drinks. It's always good to see you around here, Locke. What's your poison this evening?
Look over to Syrian. You said you were buying. I'll leave it to you to decide.
What's the special tonight?
Same shit we have every night.
I'll take the same shit you have every night then, mate.
2 ales, then. It'll be 12 copper.
Gonna give him silver. If I did the economy right.
Takes it. Did you do I have a calculator. Did you do it right? Holy fuck, you did it right. 1 silver is correct. That is the correct answer. He reaches out across the wooden bar and picks up the silver coin between 2 fingers. Inspects it. He opens his mouth to bite on it, and you see like 1 lone tooth here.
Just about to say, Win, be careful with that. You barely have any left in there as it is.
Real enough, real enough.
told you
Let me
many
get your
times, you
drink.
can use a knife for the exact same thing. You don't need to bite with your one good tooth.
That defeats the dramaticism, my lad. Yeah. I'll get your ales. Give me a moment. And he meanders off a bit with two empty tankards to fill them. After a few moments, he comes back with two full tankards. You see them frothing and spilling over as his hands sort of shake a bit and hands them over to you. Here you go.
Appreciate it as always,
Tim.
man.
No,
Grab.
take it.
Anything else you need?
No, thank you.
Very good. I'll be over here. And he sort of wanders off.
Cheers to success.
Cheers.
And take a big old drink out of it.
Yep. I already can just mentally picture Syrian and Locke's relationship being similar to Legolas and Gimli's when it comes to drinking. I think I feel a tingle.
Feeling it.
So, Locke, what do you do?
Odd jobs here and there. Do a bit of crafting when time allows.
An artisan.
Allow. Both of which are in incredibly poor supplies of late.
Sounds like at least an interesting job, being an artisan. Quiet life.
Maybe one day. No,
One day.
all I have to work right now with is the smithy here in this town, and it's not cheap to use, as I'm sure you're aware.
Making my fair share of weapons, I can agree. Visit the smith more times than I can count.
And just to let you know that when you're the craftsman, they still charge you.
Well, as I take another drink. Ooh, I'm feeling that tingle. See, he says the same shit, but it's pretty good.
Could do much worse around here, and Wynn does at least fill it properly as well.
It's a good
Yeah,
man.
there's nothing special about the ale. It's fairly bland, but for those that have been here long enough, there's not much else. It's alcohol. It's basically what it boils down to.
It accomplishes the goal.
It's just like lantern fuel, just watered down.
No, that's the wine that he has.
Oh, God.
Ugh.
All right, as you to finish your ales and spend your evening, we transition over to Malvor, who's getting shanked in an alley. No.
Wait a minute, I've seen this before.
Nope.
And that is where we'll end tonight.
No. No. We follow him over to the barracks. There's sort of a miniature fort within Osgiliath as he goes through the main gate. And you can see a bit of a guardhouse, the actual barracks and the forge across, and another standalone structure that you know where the commanding officers tend to be. But there is also another smaller barracks, sort of detached from the main ones, which is typically where the contracted mercenaries are assigned to. And that is where you sleep. That is where you stay. You make your way over there. And as you get to the door, you hear a voice call out from across the courtyard. Malvo!
Huh? I swear, I didn't do it.
A word.
Uh,
You recognize the voice as the current commanding officer of the garrison in Osgiliath as Captain Turgon.
I was just looking for that name in my notes. Captain Targon. Captain, yes. What do you need?
As he comes over to you, still in pretty much full armor, and a long sword at his side, and hair pulled back as much as it is, and somewhat neatly. And while he does look fairly clean, you do see prominent scarring across the face. And he sort of also not towers above you, but he is a little bit taller than you.
Ooh.
I do require a report on your patrol from today, Malvo. You're the last group to check in.
Indeed. Yeah, the kid and I, it was mostly uneventful. Near the end, though, we came across, two wagons making their way towards Osgiliath. They were ambushed. Indeed, with, Citadel Guard, of all things.
Citadel Guard.
It is strange indeed. But, they were making their, like I said, they were making their way to Osgiliath. They were ambushed by goblins and an orc. 2 goblins and an orc. Citadel Guard did not survive the encounter. And, some of the inhabitants of the wagon were injured. There were 2 survivors so far. They're in the House of Healing currently. One of them seems to be a person of some reputation, although I couldn't put my finger on it. But the way they were dressed, they seemed like they were of some import. And the other survivors appears to be a miner of some sort. They had a lot of white ore, white stone, like the kind you find here in the city, and then some strange black ore, dark ore that we couldn't place.
Where are the dead now?
The House of Healers were taking care of them. I brought them in. I figured, you know, they were Citadel Guard. They deserve the honor of a proper burial. You'd have to go to the House of Healing for more information.
He strokes his face, thinking with a little bit of a puzzled look on him. You and Syrian dealt with this ambush.
Yes, we killed all that was present, all the goblins and the one orc, and there was a firstborn there too. What was his name? Locke. Yeah, Locke. He just popped out of the forest. Helped us in the fight. Very handy with a blade.
Yes. Reinhold has told me of that particular firstborn. He's been around here a few times. Doesn't mean I'm welcoming of him, but I'll send a carrion over to the house and see if we can get more information with that. I was not aware of any excursion, let alone that involves Citadel Guard.
Well, hopefully the survivors will wake soon and we can have a proper conversation with them and see exactly what they were doing.
Ideally. Well, until then, your task was complete, and if this becomes of anything, if a carrion turns out anything from the house, if it is pertinent to you, I'll let you know. As he sort of reaches behind him into a satchel that he's carrying, pulls out a small leather pouch and hands it over. There's 6 copper.
Ah, perfect.
Tell Syrian when he gets back, he can retrieve his.
Will do. And, you're keeping me going through retirement, Captain. You're spoiling me.
You're here by your own accord, Malfoy.
I don't know where else I'd be.
Well. Till then.
Till then.
I'm only in Osgiliath for another day or so Arcurian's going to be in charge for a while. If you have any issues, go to him.
Traveling again.
Yes, the king wants me back in Minas Ithil. It's constantly back and forth, trying to make the arguments why we need to hold the city and not abandon it any further, but the populace makes that a little difficult.
Well, don't let the king get you down. And say hi for me, Captain.
Oh, I'm sure he'll remember you, Malfoy.
Just indulge an old man's joke.
Who knows? Maybe he'll summon you one day. Until then.
That would be interesting. Until then, have a safe journey. May the road find you well.
Thank you. The two of you part ways for the moment. And you head into your tiny barracks. There's only maybe about 4 bunks in here. One of is yours, the other is Syrian's, and 2 others for a while haven't been filled. No contracted mercenaries, not in Osgiliath in this day and age, not currently. Basically, you have the run of the place for now.
Before Malvol goes to sleep, he'll just he'll pull out an old letter.
Okay.
And he'll read it. He does this. It's almost a little ritual for him. He does it quite often. And he just hums to himself. He says, "I wonder what you're up to, Goldwyn. I wonder what you're up to." And then he'll tuck it away and turn in for the night.
Okay. You turn in for the night. 2 of you back at the King's Respite. Finish your ales, and Syrian, you eventually retire back to the barracks as well. Locke, you head back into the left into your room at the King's Respite. Within stumbling distance if you were to drink any more than you did.
Exactly.
And
got a plan for these things, Syrian.
3 of you, you drift off to sleep. 2 of you, which have done your task for the day, what you set out to do. You've helped the citizens of Gondor, and you've patrolled and done your job. The other of you, Locke, you have the thought cross your mind of give her the Athelis. I'll have to do that tomorrow. Well.
Basically.
Yeah.
She seemed a little preoccupied at the time.
Right. And then everything else from the day still lingers with you a bit strange. Someone of high society stature, seemingly, out in the woods with miners in Citadel Guard, nonetheless. But the day comes to an end. That is where we're going to end tonight.
Woo! First
This
session in the
concludes
books.
Session 1.
No deaths.
None, not even damage.
I was about to say, not even a scratch. Other than your poor old man back.
Oh, my back. Not as young as I used to be. I almost made a smart comment to the captain about how I remember when he was just in training. Didn't seem like in a good mood, though.
Yeah. But, I should have made Malvor roll a con save when moving all those bodies to see if he slipped a disc.
Please, I made him a little younger than I intended to, just to avoid stuff like that.
What's it feel like to be a fifth my age and a fifth is limber?
I mean, he's not
So-
60, he's 50. I was gonna make him 60, and Brian was like, And I'm like, okay,
Oh, so sorry,
I'll take a decade
twelfth
off.
my age, almost.
I know.
So
It's okay. I'm
that
young
concludes tonight's session. We'll be back next week with session 2. We still have a 4th person for the party to introduce. Where could they be? What's gonna happen? Guess we'll have to find out. Session 2, and I have to come up with a new witty title. So thank you all for joining
Dragon
us.
Ball Z.
Thank you all for joining us. You can hopefully find Lindsay streaming KOTOR on Thursday, depending if she's sick. We'll let you know in Discord. It's playing by ear for the rest of this week. So, thank you all so much. Thank you for being here. We'll all see you next week. Stay proficient.